Saturday in Tryon, North Carolina. And many of you are studying the book of Revelation. If you're in Southern Baptist material, I just wanted to read a fast overview that I did for a sermon that I preached on the book of Revelation. And I think maybe it might help some of you as you're studying through the book. Written approximately AD 95, John the disciple. He identifies himself in at least 4 places. And he's exiled to the island of Patmos for his faith. There are 22 chapters in 3 parts. Part 1 is the past, chapter 1. Part 2 is chapters 2 and 3, the present. That was present when John was writing. Part 3, chapters 4 through 22, prophetic or future events. So we have past, present, and future. A great amount of symbolism in the book of Revelation. Room for a lot of divine speculation, and there are a lot of writers that have done divine speculation. So I want to take a little look at this book quickly with you and to make some profound statements and some divine speculation myself. First of all, the profound statement: anyone who claims to have all of the details of the symbolism of Revelation perfectly explained is claiming equality with God and has a pride problem. You won't find 2 writers that agree on every point of the book of Revelation. Revelation means the unveiling, and sometimes that unveiling is sketchy. And just as Genesis is a book not of beginnings, but beginnings of the earth and man, Revelation is a book not of endings, but of the earth's ending as we know it. Revelation brings a contrast between the first advent and Jesus coming as a baby, and then the second coming as an advent when he is judge and king of kings and lord of lords. And we know that the presentation, the person, and the promise is clearly outlined in the book of Revelation. And we know that it's a revelation from Jesus Christ himself because that's what it says in the text. We know that there's a blessing for all of those that study the book of Revelation. And there is always a blessing when you read any of God's word, but particularly with the book of Revelation, because you see, we can clearly say to somebody else, we know in the end we win. 7 letters to 7 churches is the grace section. And we know that these are literal letters and to literal churches. And that allows me to become one that says that these are not church ages, although they could certainly represent church ages, but more likely the different types of churches and the different problems and strengths that we have in different churches. Literal places, literal churches, and we know it's from Jesus Christ. We know that there's going to be some divine speculation as we go through because there's so much symbolism and no explanation for the symbolism, so we can speculate based on other scriptures and the symbols in other scriptures, and hopefully they're the same symbolic things. Jesus is seen as the I am, the Alpha and the Omega, who is, who was, and who is to come, the eternal Godhead. And John got the message, just as we have said, from Jesus himself. And we know that he had the privilege, unlike so many other of the gospel writers, of actually having seen and heard things in heaven and was able to write them down because he was allowed to write them down. As a matter of fact, he was instructed to write them down. We, again, see a tremendous amount of symbolism, and that symbolism can be interpreted a lot of different ways, so be very careful and over identifying with symbols of the past. And we know that Jesus says, I have the keys to both heaven and hell. I think that's very important. In verse 19 it says, write therefore the things which you have seen, and the things which are, and the things which shall take place after these things. Again, we see the promise for future unveiling, and we certainly have lots of information that we're going to be learning as we study the book of Revelation. So I hope that if you're in the book of Revelation in your Sunday school class, this gives you kind of an overview of the book of Revelation. And remember, in the end, we win. That's your thought for the day. God bless you. Have a great day.